Our dear Steve Handjobs of AnyTube has finally shown us what the culmination of his career has brought, Baan, the boundary of adulthood. And I'm here to do what I do best, give my pure, unfiltered, I wanna say objective, quite possibly hurtful opinion and rating on the show. A bit of background, even though I expect you to know this if you've been around AnyTube in the past 2-3 months. Baan is an 18-minute short film written by probably the most popular AnyTuber, depending on the way you're measuring, Garnt Manitapo. I don't know which way is right. One of those should be right. Now, I'll be honest, making this video feels kinda weird. I'm directly criticizing the work of someone I admire, and it's not like they're a faraway author, someone I'll never come in contact with. Garnt is a fellow AnyTuber, we're in the same space, and our chances of contact are non-zero, but very close to that. So Garnt, if you're seeing this, I doubt, but I'm sorry, thank you, you're welcome, and congratulations. Congratulations. What is Baan about? As part of the title suggests, it's a story about adulthood. Pretty much understanding what life as an adult is, taking the step and separating yourself from your family, the place you're comfortable in, doing what you want with your life, what you believe you should do, finding your own place, and coming to terms with the troubles that come with being independent and surpassing them. That is if I understood correctly. It is presented in two planes, Daichi's journey and Rinrada's journey. Two separate planes that showcase similar and different ways life can go. And these planes converge, or better said are entangled at the climax, where we're also revealed some of Rin's background. There is an isekai aspect, two worlds are connected, Earth and Euthania. Not the typical isekai mechanics, there is a transportation system between the two, and here comes the special point, the interaction between fantasy and what we call normal, not so much. I forgot to mention that Daichi is a human and goes to live his life in that fantasy world, and Rin is a humanoid being native to Euthania, and she comes to Earth. She also has magic powers. The whole thing is packaged alongside some Southeast Asian themes and references which I myself don't know everything about, but that might interest you. Anyway, I'll let you watch the film yourself to find out what happens. I won't tell you everything. You can find it on Garnt's YouTube channel, Gigguk. The studio Garnt worked with is Studio Daisy, and the music composer is Kevin Penkin, of course. Now let's get into the good, the bad, and whatever the fuck else I want to talk about. I'll be following my usual structure, so we'll be starting off with the writing, which includes the story, direction, pacing, and all that. First of all, I have to remind myself that this is a short film, and I have to rate it as such. Limited runtimes like this are especially hard to deal with in the case of writing. It is the most sensitive aspect. How are you gonna fit the whole story? How are you gonna develop the characters? How can you establish relationships and build the background for the characters and a whole other world? How are you gonna create build-up for emotional scenes or the hype in such a short amount of time? It is a very hard thing to do if you didn't pick up on that, but as a short film, it utilizes force deduction well. You're not told what Daichi's relationship with his family and our world is, but you can infer it. You don't witness much of Rin's development journey, mostly snippets, but the meaning they have and the correlation between them and her final form bridges the gaps. You're told very little about that Euthanian civilization, and yet you can tell they place a lot of weight on tradition and are very open. The pacing lures you in with a slow start, but then accelerate. Fucking piece of shit! The pacing lures you in with a slow start, but then accelerates a lot until the end. Honestly, not a big fan of that, but I expect that is because they planned for it to be longer, then costs started piling up, and they started combing everything not to waste time, and the beginning was left as is because it was already done. Not to say that the beginning is bad, it is very close in pacing to every other anime. Let's rummage to the writing. Characters. Rin and Daichi are the main characters, the most developed and important ones, we know that much. What about the rest? There aren't many relevant ones. The main recurring ones are Rin's friends, which are semi-relevant as characters that are mainly used to show Rin's progress, and her auntie, who is more relevant. I don't think they're amazing. I would have liked to see the other people be hazes, like blank slates with no face, and as Rin grew, she would understand her surroundings and these hazes wouldn't be there anymore. This would kinda allude to her being an introvert, which isn't the case. That or other characters having a bigger impact on the story, which would have demanded a longer runtime. What about the main character's background? There isn't much on this. The main point of the show is the present changes, not the past, so it is fine the way it is. The build-up for the climaxes is just decent, not the best, but not bad. The world building on the fantasy side is minimal, although there is a lot of showing without telling. I myself am a big fantasy fan, and from this standpoint I'm kinda disappointed. It makes sense because this side, Daichi's side, is given slightly less time, he's like a secondary main character, his scenes did not feel very important. He needed more time, that's my true feelings. I'll offer a slight bit of understanding because I know building a more unique fantasy world is hard. There's a few more things I could touch on, but I believe this is enough for this segment. The rating I'll give it in terms of writing is a sort of indulgent 9. God, there's not enough culture cross-pollination, Daichi just made curry! Soundtrack. I've already told you is made by the GOAT, Kevin Penkin. If the name doesn't ring a bell, here are some projects he worked on. The soundtrack is, put simply, amazing, both track-wise and usage-wise. The tracks are most akin to Shield Hero, they have a fantasy vibe, but they fit in with the modern world too. The vibe and atmosphere they create is absolutely perfect, and they feel very impactful when they need— fucking piece of shit! And feel very impactful when they need to. Nothing less than a 10. Pretty good for soundtrack, that is. Animation, a surprise of the highest degree. I did not expect such a small project, which I believe was mostly funded by Bâan, to have such good animation. I don't believe there were any big direct sponsors, so we have good fluidity, something I enjoy a lot. That means there's not a large gap between movement positions and they are smooth. There's also a decent amount of individual frames. Small movements that don't require good animation have that good animation. The mainline character movement is also not bad, though I felt like the scene from 852 looks suspicious for some reason. I wonder why. I'm running out of positive descriptors I know that fit the bill, so let me use my googling abilities. The combat scene was swell. I specifically liked the detail everything had during the scene, and throughout the runtime of the film, I did not see a significant drop in animation. The CG is also exceptional. Baan fits the romance or psychological genres for its quality expectation, so it gets an 8. Stills, they are sufficient. Safe to say you won't think anything looks especially ugly. In the same sense, they are not absolutely outstanding. The shading is wizard, detail mostly goes to Rin, despite that other people don't look that bad, just a tad bit uninspired. The backgrounds are mid. I said it. Baan is mid now, back it up. Shut up! The blending of the characters in the scenes is fine, so the score comes to 7. Uniqueness, watch it and then come back to tell me what it deserves. Until then, 9.5. That brings the total to a whopping 9.25. By the way, here's the formula. Congrats, Gaunt, it's not actually mid. Quite a high rating. Abnormally high, if I may say so myself. Although that is understandable. I have to be more indulgent with films, and because they don't have source material, in this case, it is easier to not have downtime. A full anime has a longer runtime, more time to make mistakes, specific things to adapt usually, resulting in the pacing having issues, and costs a lot more. More people are involved, each one has their own ideas. You get it. The general seasonal anime has more things going on, so more things can go wrong. Anyway, I'm not a big fan. I can't connect with the characters, at least as of yet, and I usually don't like shows that try to tug at my heartstrings. So from me, as my enjoyment score, it gets a 7. It was nice seeing an AniTube figure take steps into getting directly involved in anime production and having an anime made themselves. You know, that was a dream of mine, and actually it still is to this day. You know, I have a series in planning, as in like novels. I have things written, I have quite a few things written, but when I think about it, I just don't get the urge to actually work and finish what I have started. Because when you deal with, I'm writing a fantasy thing, some relatively high-scale fantasy stuff, and when you're doing high-scale fantasy stuff, you have to think about economics and politics, geography, religions, governments, all that, power scaling, power systems, monsters. At some point I was thinking about creating trade routes, cash flow, and how much everything costs. When I got to that point, I was thinking I felt like I was doing too much, which to be fair might be a bit too much. It's a pain in the ass to make a big fantasy world that is decent. Hopefully at some day I'll finish patching things up, having what I need to do done, and maybe I'll publish something, but it'll probably be a long time until then. Just getting the urge to actually write something is so hard, because you have to think about, wow, there's so many things going on, how am I gonna make this happen? And then when you actually begin doing something, it kind of starts being fun, and then as you're writing you think, so I have to do this for how many words? How much longer? This ain't even like 5%, what the fuck? So maybe I'll make something. Stick around, maybe you'll like it if it ever comes out. And this was my review of Baan. Hopefully you liked it. I would actually prefer that you hated it, so that discourse is generated and my name gets brought up, more people come watch me, you know, any publicity is good publicity and all that. You know, I should have talked shit about it, that would have worked better. Baan is shit.